There is a version of you that nobody has met yet. Think about that. Really sit with it. Not the version that shows up for everyone else. Not the version that answers every message, attends every event, manages every relationship, and quietly puts their own life on hold to make sure everyone around them is okay. The version that has been waiting patiently. Behind all the noise. Behind all the obligations. Behind all the people you have been making yourself available for, at the cost of becoming unavailable to yourself. That version of you is not gone. It is just buried. And here is the question nobody asks until it is almost too late. What have you been building, while you were busy being everything to everyone else? Stop. Sit with that. Because everything in this audiobook is built around one decision. The most important decision you will ever make. To finally come back to yourself. Let me describe a kind of exhaustion you might recognize. It is not the exhaustion of doing too much. It is the exhaustion of being too available. Of existing in a constant state of response, to other people's needs, other people's moods. Other people's timelines, other people's opinions about how you should live your life. You check the messages before you check in with yourself. You shape your decisions around how others will react. You measure your progress through other people's approval. And somewhere in that endless loop of giving, pleasing, and performing, you have quietly drifted away from the person you were supposed to become. And the uncomfortable truth. Nobody forced that on you. You allowed it. Not because you are weak. But because somewhere along the way, you confused being needed with being valued. You confused availability with love. You confused losing yourself in relationships with being a good person. But here is what that pattern is actually costing you. Your focus. Your energy. Your clarity. Your identity. Your future. Every hour spent managing other people's emotions is an hour not spent building your own life. Every ounce of energy given to people who drain rather than grow you is energy that could have been invested in the person who deserves it most. You. This audiobook is not about becoming cold. It is not about abandoning the people you love or building walls so high that nothing can reach you. It is about something far more powerful. Coming home to yourself, so deliberately, so completely, that the right people and the right opportunities finally have somewhere to land. 5 chapters. 1 shift. Let's begin. Chapter 1, Why You Lost Yourself in the First Place. The slow drift. Nobody loses themselves dramatically. It happens slowly. So slowly that most people don't notice until they are standing in the middle of a life that looks nothing like what they imagined, wondering when exactly the drift began. It usually starts with something that feels virtuous. Being helpful. Being supportive. Being the person people can count on. These are genuinely good qualities. But without boundaries. Without self-awareness, without the discipline to protect your own energy, they become the very qualities that hollow you out. You start saying yes when you mean no. You start absorbing other people's problems as your own responsibility. You start measuring your worth by how useful you are to the people around you. And slowly, without fanfare, without a dramatic breaking point, you stop being the main character of your own life and become a supporting role in everyone else's. The drift happens in small moments. Canceling your own plans to accommodate someone else. Staying in conversations that drain you because leaving feels selfish. Suppressing your own needs because expressing them feels like too much. Each moment seems harmless. But the accumulation is devastating. The approval anchor. Here is what keeps most people anchored to that drift. The need for approval. When your sense of worth is tied to how others see you, to whether they are happy with you, pleased with you, grateful to you, you become psychologically dependent on their reactions. Their mood becomes your mood. Their approval becomes your oxygen. And in that state, real growth is impossible. Because growth requires the willingness to disappoint people. To make choices that others don't understand. To move in a direction that not everyone will celebrate or even support. The person who needs constant approval from everyone around them will always choose comfort over progress. Will always shrink back when someone pushes. Will always abandon their own direction the moment someone questions it. Until they make one fundamental shift. Deciding that their own opinion of themselves matters more than anyone else's. Reflection. Think about the last time you made a decision based entirely on what you wanted, with no consideration of how it would look, or what someone else would think, or whether it would disappoint anyone. How long ago was that? If you are struggling to remember, that is your answer. That is how far the drift has taken you. Chapter 2, The Power of Selective Detachment. What detachment really means. When most people hear the word detachment, they picture coldness. They picture someone who doesn't care. Someone who has shut down, closed off, removed themselves from the warmth of human connection. That is not detachment. That is avoidance. And avoidance is just another form of being controlled by other people, running from them instead of being pulled by them, but still letting them determine your direction. Real detachment is something entirely different. Real detachment is the ability to care deeply about people, without making them responsible for your peace. To love someone, without needing them to behave a certain way for you to feel okay. To engage with the world, without being destabilized by every reaction, every opinion, every shift in someone else's mood. It is emotional sovereignty. The ability to remain anchored in yourself regardless of what is happening around you. And it is one of the rarest, most powerful qualities a human being can develop. Who gets your energy? Here is a truth that most people resist because it feels uncomfortable. Not everyone deserves equal access to your energy. Some people leave you feeling clearer, more motivated, more alive after spending time with them. Some people leave you feeling drained, foggy, smaller than when you arrived. Both interactions felt like connection. But only one was actually building you. Selective detachment means becoming deliberate about this. Not cutting everyone off. Not becoming a hermit. But becoming honest, radically, quietly, unapologetically honest. About which relationships are investments and which ones are expenses. Investments add to your life. They challenge you, support you, expand you. Expenses take from your life. They drain your energy, consume your time, and leave you with less of yourself than when the conversation started. The math is simple. But the execution requires something most people find genuinely difficult. The willingness to disappoint people who have grown used to unlimited access to you. Reflection. Think about the 5 people you spend the most time with. After time with each of them, do you feel more energized or more drained? More focused on your own life or more pulled into theirs? More like yourself or less? Your honest answers to those questions are a map. And that map is showing you exactly where your energy needs to be redirected. Chapter 3, Building the Discipline of Self-Focus. The hardest person to show up for. Here is something nobody tells you about focusing on yourself. It is harder than focusing on everyone else. Focusing on others feels productive. It feels generous. It comes with immediate feedback. Gratitude, approval, the warm feeling of being needed. It is endlessly available. There is always someone who needs something, always a problem to solve, always a reason to be useful to someone outside of yourself. Focusing on yourself is quieter, slower. The feedback loop is longer. Progress is invisible at first. There is no immediate applause. No one thanks you for the hour you spent reading instead of scrolling. No one notices the morning you protected for your own growth instead of answering messages. But the compound interest of that quiet investment is extraordinary. Every hour spent developing yourself, your skills, your mind, your body, your clarity, is an hour that belongs permanently to the person you are becoming. It cannot be taken back. It cannot be undone. It accumulates silently and then, at some invisible tipping point, becomes undeniable. The daily return. Detaching from the noise of other people's lives and returning to your own requires a daily practice. Not a dramatic one. A quiet one. It begins with the first hour of your day. Before the messages. Before the notifications. Before the world tells you what it needs from you, you decide what you need from yourself. You read. You think. You plan. You move your body. You do something that belongs entirely to your own growth. That 1 hour, protected fiercely, consistently, without negotiation, changes the entire trajectory of a life. Because the way you start your day is the way you orient your identity. Start by giving yourself to everyone else and you spend the day in reactive mode. Start by investing in yourself and you spend the day in creative mode. Same 24 hours. Completely different life. Reflection. What would your life look like in 1 year if you protected the first hour of every day, without exception, for your own growth? What skill would you have built? What clarity would you have found? What version of yourself would be standing on the other side of 365 mornings of quiet, deliberate self-investment? That version exists. The question is only whether you are willing to protect the time to build them. Chapter 4, Silence is your greatest teacher. The world will fill every silence you allow. We live in the noisiest era in human history. Not just the noise of sound, but the noise of opinions, updates, comparisons, highlights, arguments, and the constant low-level hum of other people's lives being broadcast directly into your attention every waking hour. And in that noise, something essential gets lost. Your own voice. Not the voice that responds to other people. Not the voice that performs for an audience or manages impressions or figures out the right thing to say. The quiet, honest, deeply personal voice that knows what you actually want. What you actually believe. What you actually need. What your life is actually asking you to do next. That voice cannot be heard above the noise. It requires silence. And silence requires the discipline to turn things off, to step back from the constant input, and simply be with yourself long enough to hear what is actually there. What silence reveals. Most people are afraid of silence. Not because it is unpleasant, but because of what it might show them. In silence, the things you have been avoiding become visible. The goals you have been postponing. The changes you know you need to make. The relationships that are no longer serving you. The life you have been delaying. Silence makes you honest. And honesty requires courage. But here is what else silence reveals. Your actual strength. Your actual clarity. Your actual capacity for direction, when you stop outsourcing your thinking to other people's content and start trusting your own mind again. The person who can sit in silence and be completely at peace with themselves is one of the most powerful people in any room. Because they do not need the room to feel whole. They are already whole. And they arrive that way, quietly, through the patient practice of Learning to be with themselves. Reflection. When was the last time you sat in complete silence, no phone, no music, no podcast, no input of any kind, for even 15 minutes? What came up? If the answer is discomfort, resistance, the urge to reach for something, that discomfort is pointing directly at the work that needs to be done. Sit in it. Stay with it. The clarity is on the other side. Chapter 5, The Life That Waits on the Other Side. What you are actually building. When you detach from the noise and return to yourself, truly return, not as a temporary retreat but as a permanent reorientation, something begins to happen that is difficult to describe until you experience it. You start becoming. Not performing. Not managing. Not reacting. Actually becoming, the person you have always had the potential to be but never had the space or silence or focus to fully arrive at. Your work improves because your attention is no longer fractured. Your relationships improve. Paradoxically, because you are no longer dependent on them for your sense of self. Your decisions become cleaner because they come from clarity rather than from anxiety or approval seeking. And perhaps most powerfully, you stop feeling lost. Because you have found the one relationship that was always meant to anchor everything else. The relationship with yourself. The new standard. From this point forward, the standard is simple. Your energy is your most valuable resource. And like any valuable resource, it must be invested deliberately, not given away by default. Every day you wake up, you have a finite amount of focus, creativity, emotional bandwidth, and time. The question is not whether it will be spent. It will be spent regardless. The question is whether you will spend it, or whether you will simply let it leak away into everyone else's priorities while your own life waits patiently in the background. Choose yourself. Daily. Without apology. Without explanation. Not because other people don't matter. But because you cannot pour from empty. You cannot build a meaningful life while living entirely in service of everyone else's. You cannot become who you are capable of becoming while making everyone else's growth more important than your own. The life that is waiting for you on the other side of this decision is extraordinary. But it will only arrive when you finally decide that you are worth showing up for. Action Plan. Your 5 steps starting today. Step 1, audit your energy. For the next 7 days, pay attention to how you feel after every significant interaction. Energized or drained. Focused or scattered. More yourself or less. Keep it simple, just notice. This audit will show you exactly where your energy is going and whether it is being invested or wasted. Step 2, protect the first hour. Starting tomorrow, before messages, before social media, before the world makes its demands, give the first hour of your day entirely to yourself. Read. Write. Move. Think. Build. Something. The content of the hour matters less than the discipline of protecting it. This single habit, held consistently, will change your life more than almost anything else you could do. Step 3, practice intentional silence. Every day, find 15 minutes of complete silence. No input. No distraction. Just you and your own thoughts. At first it will feel uncomfortable. Stay anyway. The discomfort is the resistance of a mind that has forgotten how to be still. Push through it, and what emerges on the other side will surprise you. Step 4, become deliberately selective. Look at your calendar, your contact list, your social media feed. Ask honestly, does this add to my life or take from it? Does this move me toward who I am becoming or pull me back into who I was? Begin slowly, carefully, without drama, redirecting your time toward what builds you and away from what drains you. Step 5. Make one daily promise to yourself, and keep it. Not a big one. A small one. Something specific and completable. And keep it. Every day. Because self-trust is not built through grand gestures. It is built through the quiet accumulation of promises made and honored in private. And when you trust yourself, truly trust yourself, everything changes. The final truth. The most important relationship in your life is the one you have with yourself. Not your most romantic relationship. Not your closest friendship. Not your family, your career, your reputation, or your social circle. You. And right now, if you are honest, that relationship might be the most neglected one in your life. You have given your best hours to other people. Your sharpest attention to other people's problems. Your most generous energy to building other people's comfort. And you have accepted the leftover version of yourself as enough. It is not enough. You deserve your own best hours. Your own sharpest attention. Your own most generous energy. The moment you decide that, the moment you choose yourself with the same conviction you have always chosen everyone else, something irreversible happens. You stop drifting. You start building. And the life that has been waiting on the other side of your own attention, it finally begins.